In this episode, we're going to continue on with the fascia work and start installing all the accoutrements for each of the control stations around the layout that go on that fascia. So let's get inside. Howdy train fans, welcome back to the Chattanooga Southern Railroad. So big day today. In this episode, we're going to be working on the control stations at each of the locations around the layout that go on the fascia panels. Just for information, we've got 7 control stations around the layout. So in theory, I could have 7 people operating at one time. That's probably a little too much. 5 would be uncomfortably comfortable, and I could keep 5 people busy for at least 30 minutes or more on the layout. But those stations are as follows. So we've got the L&N interchange, we've got DeHead's Yard, we've got North Junction, we've got South Chattanooga Junction, we've got South Chattanooga, we've got Sugar Alley, and last but not least, we've got Collier Yard, or my hidden staging yard. So let's jump into it. I'm going to show you what I've been working on and what I have yet to do. And hopefully by the end of this video, we will have all of these control stations put together. So let's get moving. All right, so been moving along with these control stations. I started, as you saw in my last video, with this one here at North Junction. And the reason I started here was because the distance between that corner and that corner was the smallest of all 7 locations that I have. And so I wanted to lay this out like this and then kind of use this as a template for the other locations. And that's what I've done. So you saw my trials and tribulations with the cut up and all that stuff, but finally got this completely laid out exactly like I want it. And you'll see in a couple other locations coming up that I do have some switches in this general vicinity to cut off power to certain tracks where locomotives are stored. But you'll also see that I've got over here a drink holder. The drink holders are always to the right of the control station, so you'll see one here as well. This is a great representation of one with the switches in place. So I just finished this one up. So you'll see that I have the same basic layout with the panel itself, the throttle plate here, the throttle holder here, but then you'll see the 3 switches that I have here for which will run engine track 1, engine track 2, and then the fueling track to turn the power off, so I don't have to hear the engines kick on or kick off should there be a short or something like that. So in addition to that, each location has a hook like this for the clipboard. Each of these clipboards are identical in the sense that they are all black. They have a logo sticker on them. They have a pencil holder with a pencil. And then, of course, the name of the location. In this case, pencil's kind of covering up, but it's DeHead's Yard here. So this is my DeHead's Yard station. Again, the drink holder with the wonderful Chattanooga Southern pint glass is right there to the right. I'm going to be moving on to, I started work on this side over here. You'll see I've got the drink holder mounted here. I've got some holes drilled already. I've mocked up the frame for here, the throttle plate there, the throttle holder there. There are no switches over here to power any tracks on and off. But what I need to do now, and you'll see I've drilled my holes here and here to jigsaw out both of those openings for there. And so that's what I'm going to do next, and keep moving on, and we'll catch up with you here in a minute. All right, as you can see here, I worked pretty late last night on this section. So this is the control stand area, control station for South Chattanooga, which is right there. And then I also did the mock-up for Sugar Alley. And the nice thing is that the layout of all of this and this is almost identical, almost down to the inch, or at least even less than an inch. So it worked out really well. So what I've got to do now is I've got to cut the hole for the Digitrax plate here. I've got to cut the hole for access behind the control panel itself, which will have the touch toggles behind it and allow me a way to get my fingers in there to push that glass and picture out. Same over here. I got to do the drilling and cutout of the for the throttle plate there, and the same cutout here. You'll see I got my cup holders. Cup holders are always to the right for your beverage. This area over here is going to be a little crowded if we've got two operators in this vicinity, but you know, hey, as long as you're comfortable with one another, who the heck cares, right? And then what I've got to do next is I'm going to have to move on to, I've got unique situations over here at the L&N interchange over here, which I've kind of talked about in some of the previous videos. I have to do that layout, so that's going to take some more thought. And then, although I've got plenty of room on the back here in the hidden staging yard of Collier Yard, I've got some unique challenges in that I've got 5 switches that I need to install to run the 5 tracks on the back end, or this right side over here. And I also have all the Atlas turnout throw switches that I have to install. So that's going to take a little thought on my thought process over there. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention over here at Sugar Alley, I am going to have those 2 toggle switches that have to mount above the throttle plate there, similar to what I did over there in the heads yard. So I've got to lay those out here as well. All right, just finished cutting out the holes over here for South Chattanooga Junction. You can see the mess that it makes, all the dust, so I'm gonna have to clean all that fun stuff up. And then also over here, got the throttle plate hole cut, the panel hole, throttle plate hole, panel cut, panel hole there. That's for Sugar Alley and South Chattanooga. So I'll show them to you when they're done. All right, and there you go. That's the Chattanooga Junction one done. I haven't popped the glass and picture in yet, but you can see how that hole works. It allows you to reach up under and pop that out to make it accessible. So I'll be working on that, popping those in here shortly. And then over around here, we've got, there's the South Chattanooga one with its clipboard, and then Sugar Alley with its clipboard. So you can see that hole's a little bit bigger because I didn't have a stanchion in the way. That one's about the same size as the other one just because of the positioning. So onward. And there we are. There's Sugar Alley with its control panel. There's South Chattanooga with its control panel. And then coming around here, there's South Chattanooga Junction with its control panel. So let me show you a little problem I've run into in installing these track power switches. If you look here, you'll see that these aren't fully seated, okay? I measured one of these on this outer rim here, not the flange part, but the just inside where it would seat. and I came up with right at about 3/4 of an inch. So I drilled 3/4 inch holes for that, but you can see that these are not going in fully. And went back out to the Amazon website, and I'll put a screenshot of the dimensions on it up here in the upper left. As you can see there, they're saying it's 18 millimeters, or 23. That equates to 23/64 drill bit. So I went out and bought a set of drill bits. That's these here. So here's that drill bit set. And you'll see that it has an 18. By the way, it was a lot cheaper to buy the set of the wood bits. There's only $2 more than buying a single 18 millimeter drill bit. So I did that, and as you can see, I drilled if it'll focus, a test hole there. That's the 18 based off of the diagram, right? And this is way too small. It won't even go in. So then I grabbed the 20 and drilled that hole. That's a 7/8 inch hole. That's way too big. So I tried the 20, and it's better, but it's still not quite there yet. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm definitely going to have to ream those holes out, if it'll focus, up there with a rasp to get them to pop in. But down here, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with the 20 inch bit, because it's the closest I've got to that. Wow, if I can get it to focus, a 20 inch bit for that, and then do a little bit of fine tuning with a curved rasp. So one of the main problems with, or one of the challenges that you end up with building a model railroad. All right, so I'm doing the last little bit over here at Sugar Alley. I still don't understand why it doesn't focus on that hardboard very well. But I'm getting ready to try to drill the holes for these switches. So the standard practice that I have over there at the head yard is 2 inches up from the top of the faceplate for the throttle. And then I do, it's an 1.5 inches over here. Sorry, 1.25 inches over to here, and then it's 1.5 inches between centers. Luckily I've only got 2 of them, so I'll have one here and one here. So I'm going to drill this hole and this hole. All right, so as you can see, I drilled a pilot hole here and here. I do have a problem in that right here there is a faceplate here. So I'm going to have to drill through not only the hardboard, but also all the way through the stanchion, or the top 1x4 that's up here. Now you can see the top one worked well. This one, I just caught the bottom edge of that stringer going across here, the 1x4, with the bit, and it started to tear this out. So now I gotta decide what the heck I'm gonna do here. It pisses me off because I really don't want to have to replace this. So let's see what I can come up with. All right, as you can see, I took a jigsaw. I'll pull this out real quick so you can see, and did a little bit of trimming up there. So it looks like it looks like I got a little more trimming to do back in there. I don't know if you can see that. But for the most part, it looks like, you know, if I do a little bit of puttying, I could probably clean that up. And just so you know, these labels are temporary until I'm ready to paint this, and I'll peel these back off, prep this, and then prime it and paint it. So I'm not wasting any effort on these. I'm just quickly throwing them up there so that they coincide with the tracks here. I'm actually going to move, this is the old schematic that's in here just for testing. I'm actually moving this up into here for track 2, and that's because of, that's where the DuPont switcher locomotive, the GE 44 tonner, is going to sit. All right, so got this done, and going to keep working. All right, right, so I'm going to jump on the L&N section here. So as you can see, I've got a number of things I've got to mount as typical. I've got the control panel itself, the picture frame. I've got the throttle holder there. I've got a couple of switches for the tracks to power them up. I've got the drink holder sitting there, and then I've got the throttle plate there. The challenge I have is, originally I was planning on having some of this stuff mounted over here, but this is the drop down, so I don't know if I want to do that or not. And the turnout is down here, which means the touch toggle unit, that one sitting right there, needs to be somewhere in the near vicinity of that, because those cables are only about a foot long. Need to be within a foot of that panel right there, because those cables coming from the unit to the touch toggle itself is only about a foot long. I could buy an extension, but I don't want to if I don't have to. So gonna work on that now, and we'll show you as we go. All right, as you can see here, I've been working pretty steadily for the last hour or so. Got this laid out, and I now have my hole cut for my panel, holes drilled for the two switches that power the track, throttle plate. I've got the throttle holder laid out for here, and of course the cup holder's already mounted. So I'm going to go ahead and mount everything else up, and then I'll show it to you again. All right, as you can see here, it's all done. I've got my holes cut, and everything's now mounted. This is what it's going to look like. You'll notice a couple things that, unlike the other 5 stations previous, the control panel itself and the switches are to the left of the throttle and the throttle plate and clipboard and whatnot, and then the drink holders out here on the end. So what I did do when I did this, I did keep common dimensions for things like the cluster of this, the cluster of this, and also the distance of that drink holder off of that edge there. And I think it turned out pretty well. There's no way I was going to get everything in on the drop down, and I really didn't want to put everything down here, so I put the most low profile stuff over here. This also gives me a benefit in the fact that the turnout, as I've mentioned before, is down here. The Barrett Hills touch toggle unit can be within close vicinity. Both the switch machine is going to be roughly about right there, and this panel. And then the only real challenge I've got right now is I've got to extend these wires here that were to the switches. Remember the temporary switch panel I had over here? I've got to extend those wires back down over here, and I have to be cautious about making sure that I've got a way to drop them down around where this thing is going to hinge. So a little bit of work there on the wiring, but otherwise this is, I'll call this done for now. Since I was working on the L&N section over here, I figured I'd go ahead and take that fascia piece off. That's where my mainline interchange is going to come through, and you can see from that I've got a pencil line on the back now. So I'm going to go cut that with a jigsaw and then put it back up. And there you go. I now have my opening for the southern northbound main line to come out. So glad to have that done. Now on to the Collier yard, I believe. All right, I'm back here in the Collier yard or hidden staging area. Getting ready to start this and do the layout on it. As you can see, this is the only place where I've got plenty of room to put controls in. I need to be very strategic about that. I have one Digitrax throttle plate I have to put back here. I have the one control panel that needs to go up here, but then I have two unique, drink holder and all that stuff. I got plenty of room for all that. The two unique things I have back here are the 5 switches to control the power to each of these tracks here, which is going to be the engine storage area. In addition to that, all of the turnouts back here are Atlas with the solenoid type switch machines, as you can see right there. And those require the use of these. So I'm going to have to mount these somewhere in some order close to that panel. Well, if it'll focus, that panel there. Also I'm going to need a spot to hang the switching clipboard. So I'll start working on that now. So I'm back here at Collier Yard, and I'm trying to figure out, because I'm using Atlas switches and switch machines, I'm trying to figure out the combinations that I'm going to do with these. For those of you that don't know about Atlas switch machines, these switches, the way they work is you can work them individually, right, and power each one. So you have power coming in, and then these three go out to each of the turnouts. One is a common and one is right versus left, and that's how this switch works. One of the things you can do with the Atlas switch machine, so you don't have to run multiple leads to each one to power them up, they provide little plates in between there that you can connect these two into groupings. And so that's what I'm trying to figure out right now. If you go and look at my panel plan, hopefully you can see that really well. You'll see that I've got 5 main switch machines coming in. This is the lead coming from the main layout, and so you have an arrival track, a departure track, the N and W interchange, the AC L interchange, and then the overflow out here. Those are the primary turnouts that would be used most often. The secondary ones would be these crossovers 6 and 8, which if you watched my previous videos, you saw how I installed those and how well they're working. They're fantastic. So I only need one switch machine to work both, because I want both of them to throw as a combination. So I only need one of these to power up both switch machines for both. Then I have this number 7 here, which is the back entrance to the furniture making place on the main layout there. It's kind of like an alternate pass through should I ever need it. Will I use it? Who knows, we'll see. But I decided to put it in there anyway. On the other end of Collier Yard is 4 more switches that create this 5-track engine caboose storage area. These are the tracks that I'm going to have toggled on and off with these switches, as you've seen before on my other control stations. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate these. So the first 5 I'm going to make as a combination. These 3 turnouts here I'm going to make as a combination as well. I've got them labeled right now 6, 7, and 8. I may do these as 6, 7, and then that one 8. I haven't quite decided that yet. That's not going to matter. All that matters is that I want to cluster those together as a grouping on the layout fascia. And then these 4 switch machines are right here, or the switches for the switch machines are right here. Those are going to be one cluster. So I think from a logic standpoint, that should work out well. So let me show you what I'm thinking about on the fascia itself. So just to kind of show you from the track plan itself, because things are a little distorted on the control panel relative as far as distance between things. So you'll see here, this is crossover 6, switch 7, as I've got it labeled right now, and then crossover number 8. So you can see there's some distance there. And these reside roughly about 1/3 of the way down this whole fascia here. I'm thinking I'm going to put those 3 switch machines down here, because you're going to be standing here when you're throwing those crossovers. Here you can see are the 2 main ladders. So I've got the main ladder of 5 coming in here, and then I've got the 4 main for the engine servicing and not engine servicing, but engine storage and caboose storage. So I think what I'm going to do is, because these are down here on this 3rd, I'm going to put those 2 bands. I'm going to put the main band of 5 up top, and then the 4 for the engine and caboose tracks down here. Okay, what that's going to do is that's going to leave me, if I can move and not kill myself here, not much room back here, is that's going to leave me between this set of screws and that set of screws to put in my control panel, the cup holder, all of that fun stuff right in here, and I think it's going to work really, really well. So I'm going to go get my template board that I made, which I showed you previously, and see if I can't lay this area out and see how that's going to work. All right, as you can see, I've got my throttle holder, the throttle plate, and the control panel in. It's in that standard combination and distance and spacing for everything. I haven't installed the clipboard hook yet, but what I'm going to do is turn my attention to assembling these, and I may take these upstairs and do that as opposed to stand down here on this hard concrete doing this, because it's going to take a little while to get all the screws in there ready to go. And then I'll come back downstairs and I'll be mounting a cluster down there. I'll be mounting a cluster, 2 clusters right here. And then I still have to drill the switch holes over here for the track power switches, which I'll probably put somewhere in this vicinity here. All right, so I'm up in here in my living room, and I'm putting these switch machine blocks together. So I have a 3 here. This is the 6, 7, and 8. These are the 2 crossovers. This is going to be, I think this is 10, 11, 9, 10, 11, and 12. This is for the engine storage and caboose storage. This cluster is going to be 1 through 5, which will be the main switch ladder coming into the Collier yard. But I wanted to show you that, you know, these are normally loose, and I mentioned earlier you can connect them up, but this is how you do that with these. They offer these little plates. They come with the switch machines in case you have multiples of this. And so you just screw them together, and what it does is it allows you to power up from one end or the other and bring, it'll transfer power all the way across. And then you've got your wires coming out that go to the actual switch motors themselves. So I'm going to continue putting these together, take a little break up here, and then get back to it downstairs. All right, so I just finished up binding these together into their respective blocks. So this is the main yard ladder coming in. This is for the engine and caboose storage. These 3 are for the 2 crossovers and the switch back through the woodworking place, or the back entrance there. So it took about 45 minutes to put all these individual screws. So you'll see I put screws in on the left hand end here. This is where I'm going to power these blocks up. I didn't put any down here for obvious reasons, because I'm not going to daisy chain them together, but that took a little while to get all those together, and we'll keep moving. Collier yard is now done. You can see I've got my 5 switches in here for the engine and caboose tracks to power them up. I've got my switches in for my switch machines. The top row 5 is for the main ladder track coming in off the main layout there. The bottom 4 here is to serve the ladder for the engine storage area. I have my throttle holder. I have my throttle plate. I have a hook for the clipboard for switch lists. I have the power panel now in place as a reference for the switch machines. And then I have the 3 here, which will work that crossover, that switch, and that crossover there. And then of course the all needing cup holder there. So nothing is wired as of yet. You can see I've drilled my holes, and you'll see how those work. These are going to be the power coming into the switch bank here and here. Each of these will go out to their respective turnouts to work them as needed. You'll notice I have drilled the holes for all of these. I haven't seated these home because I still have to wire everything yet back here. So got some work to do. I started drilling some holes up here for the switch machines. I got everything but the crossovers, the 2 new crossovers back there. I have to get those drilled, and then I can start wiring. So as of right now, I'm going to call this done, and then with the exception, like I said, wiring. So So as you can kind of see here, I started mocking up the new valance here. I'm not going to do that as part of this video. This video's already gotten long enough, so I'm going to do the light valance, the light strip underneath, all as another video. So that'll be part 5. So onward. Well, there you go. All my control stations are now done, and I couldn't be happier to have that mocked up 90% of the way. And I say 90% because, like it or not, I'm going to have to take all this stuff back off when it comes time to paint the fascia and whatnot, and the backdrops. So, but it'll be a while before I'm ready to paint. I want to get a lot of the scenery done first, especially right up to the edge here. Before I start painting this and making that nice finished look. And my plan is to take the fascia off the layout completely, not paint it on the layout. At least that's the plan. I'm still hemming and hawing whether or not to do that. There's some pros and cons of both, but we'll see coming down the pike. So with that, thank you to all my subscribers, particularly the new ones that have come on board. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for all the suggestions that you have given me along the way. And we'll see you all on down the tracks. Bye. Hey there. Did you like that video? Well, check out some of these others on the screen. Don't worry, I'll wait. Enjoy.